welcome back to Spitball and Sports Podcast. I'm your host, John, with my good friend and co-host, Scott. How's it going, Scott?
Good, John. How are you, buddy?
All right. We were just talking ice in Western New York.
Ice. This is the TikTok videos I love. Yep. I'll be watching. My wife will send me. I if everybody recorded them in the area and just did a little group file. Me, that'd be great.
Yeah. All the people on Niagara Falls Boulevard had a treat today because somewhere between 59th and 56th Street, I was like Fred Flintstone. My feet were going. Couldn't stop, but I had two bags. I was holding two bags. So, and it was over. I went up and over. My Bears winter hat went over my eyes, which makes it even worse. So, it's just ridiculous. You get mad.
Oh yeah. I was shoveling earlier and I had to bring a jug of water in, one of the large ones. And so I had to go to the other side of my truck, which I didn't even bother doing anything on that side because it's a sheet of solid ice and my shovel, I was probably going to snap it trying to chop it up. So I went over just to open the door and my daughter was out there with me and I said, I'm going to fall right on my ass. Because by the time once I had that weight in my hand, I thought I was going down because I was trying to kind of stomp, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to stomp and I'm going to set. But there's a few times I stomped and it didn't give, and I almost broke my ass, man. Yeah. So I know where you're coming from, but the unexpected ones hurt badly.
Yeah, that had to be funny though. So anyways, we're a week away from the NHL trade deadline.
Yes.
And when we're a week away from the NHL trade deadline, we can't get our next guest on trade deadline day because he goes crazy. He's got all kinds of stuff going on. But we do have him now. And it's Mike Augello, of course, Pro Hockey Writers of America. He's a member of that. Hockey Buzz reporter, co-host of Off the Post Radio and Leafs Convo, NHL writer for Full Press. And if you recently, I think he just wrote something about Tage Thompson and Austin Matthews and the Leafs and Sabres rivalry, and they're kind of the reason behind the rivalry coming. And here he is. Hey, Mike.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Hey, Mike,
Yabba dabba doo with the French.
Yeah, I
made one of them water buffalo hats now, John.
I made something for Mike. Hold on, watch.
Uh-oh. Wow, you got to send me a copy of that.
Hey, you're snazzy. Mike, you're big time now, buddy.
No, this guy comes on, and it's so cool that you'll come on with us whenever we ask. So thank you. You deserve that. That's your entrance music. It's like WWE.
Send me a link on that one.
I will. I'll send it when we get off. All right, we're a week away, and let's talk about the couple trades that happened. First big one was Maple Leafs, O'Reilly, Achari. What the Blues? What they get, Mike? Abramov, Gaudette.
Well, the Abramov and Gaudette were basically contracts being sent the other way. It was the draft picks. It was a 1, a 2, and a 3. A 4th round pick sent to Minnesota to retain 25% of O'Reilly's deal. Essentially the same type of package that Boston sent to Washington for Orlov and Hathaway. And if you ask me, I think what the Leafs got back from St. Louis is better than what Boston got, but Boston's needs were different. They wanted a defenseman who could play in the top 4 and a third or fourth line winger. And Hathaway is a typical Bruin. He's a cheap shot artist and a real physical guy. So he'll fit right in with the Bruins. With the Leafs, I mean, they needed that kind of leadership that O'Reilly brings. He won the Conn Smythe. He won the Stanley Cup with the Blues in 2019. After a lot of years with the Sabres in Colorado, he's still a good player, 32 years old. He's a free agent. I think that there's some hopes that the Leafs can maybe sign him extend him and bring him and sign him in the off season and keep him around for a few years. And based on what he's done so far with the hat trick against the Sabres, he's off to a good first step. But John, everything is going to rely on what the Leafs do in the playoffs against Tampa. And it'll be almost looked upon as a failure if they make this trade and then they don't win.
Right. Yeah. Tampa again. So it's just, Let me ask you one thing. Were you surprised? Because I was, but maybe I'm just not smart enough. Game one, when he was on the line with Tavares and Marner, for some reason I thought for sure he'd have been the third line or whatever, however you want to call it. Does that happen, do you think, or no?
Yeah, I think the reason, and Sheldon Keefe explained this, is I think originally what they wanted to do with no practices, they just wanted to put O'Reilly in a position where he felt comfortable. And playing center and playing in a top six role and playing with two guys in Marner and Tavares who played with each other all year, that was sort of a comfort zone. And, he obviously did really well on Tuesday against the Sabres with the hat trick. Do I think it's permanent? No, I did. When the playoffs come around, I have a feeling it's going to be Matthews on one line, Tavares on another line, and O'Reilly on the third line, matching up against the other team's centers. I mean, with Tampa Bay, you can't load up on the top six. I think one of the purposes of O'Reilly was to be able to spread out the talent in the forward lines, and he can match up against Braden Point while Matthews matches up with Anthony Cirelli. It gives him more flexibility. So I do think with the playoffs come around, it's going to be three separate lines.
Hopefully they'll be able to control Nick Paul because he's uncontrollable. Scott, I know you're a hockey kind of in and out guy watching it, but you're a Sabres fan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask Mike,
yeah,
Mike, I know they're still a young team.
Mm-hmm.
You got Tage Thompson. He's obviously, hopefully this is something that's going to continue going forward. I don't know how much you know about him. If that looks like he's made that leap and this is going to be, is this going to be a one season thing? Is he getting lucky, or you think this is just a continued progression with him?
Yeah. And I just wrote an article for Full Press, and it was about the different paths of Tage Thompson and Austin Matthews. And they were drafted in the same draft. Matthews number 1 overall. Tage Thompson was 26th by St. Louis. Matthews was successful right away. 4 goals in his first NHL game, Rookie of the Year, Hart Trophy, Rocket Richard Trophy, all the accolades, individual accolades. Thompson, he was traded in the O'Reilly deal. He played a little bit with Rochester. He got hurt. One year he was almost out all the year. He was misused by Ralph Kruger, played on the wing because he was big. And only when they fired Kruger and brought Don Granato in there did Granato have the foresight to move him to center, which he played in the National Development Program at Connecticut. He played up the middle. And that was only by happenstance. That was because Middlestat got hurt in training camp. So they moved him to center, and he scored 38 goals, and now he's already topped that, and we're 60 games into the season. So I think he's for real. And they signed him to a contract, and that was smart. It was proactive. I was a little skeptical about that because I thought, you've got another year, and he's a free agent or a restricted free agent after that. You have time, but they're actually smart to have done it because he's had a big year, and he probably would have cost them $9.5 million on a new deal. So he's for real, and I like the Dylan Cousins signing, and they're going to get Dahlin signed. They're locking up all their young guys, and they're building something. I look at this team though, and as a lot of friends that I have are Sabre fans. The fact that this team has not made the playoffs since 2011, so now we're going on 12 seasons, and you're fairly close. You've got a young, exciting team that scores a lot of goals. Defensively, Dahlin is probably going to be one of the 3 finalists for the Norris. Owen Power is really coming into his own. They have some growing pains defensively. They have some areas to improve. I think it would be covered up a lot by good goaltending, and right now their goaltending is average. I mean, Eric Comrie, in my mind, Eric Comrie's an AHL goaltender. Craig Anderson's 41 years old and can play only once a week, and Luukkonen was rushed. And I was talking with a bunch of reporters when I was covering the Sabres-Leafs game on Tuesday. Then a lot of them were in agreement to say, if they just go out and get a goaltender, it doesn't mean you have to spend, trade significant assets. Just trade a draft pick for a Eunice Korpisalo from Columbus or somebody like that. Yeah. Then you might improve your chances to make the playoffs. and Kevin Adams is coming out and saying, well, we're going to stick with our plan. Well,
why? That's my question. Why will they not address that? What, well, what? It always seems to be, other than when they had Hasek and Miller and them, like when they had a solid goalie, it seems like they get a good team and they never want to address that situation.
I think they want to find out. Their goal this year is to find out whether Luukkonen can be a number one. Now, maybe if they go out and trade for a goaltender, that's an admission that he's not. And they do like him. They do like, he's well liked in the locker room, all those things. But I don't think going out and trading for a veteran goaltender to split time with him is a statement of non-support to Luukkonen. I think it's just it's a fact that Luukkonen has limited experience in the league. He sometimes looks fantastic and sometimes looks absolutely terrible, like he did on a couple goals in the Toronto game that forced him to get pulled. So I think that, right now they're in a weird position. It's, Adams came out and said, we're going to stick with the plan, but then you start to hear some things behind the scenes that maybe they're looking at a goaltender, as long as it's cheap, as long as it's not going to derail what they're doing in other areas. So we'll find out before 3 p.m. on next Friday, but I think there's a chance they go out and trade for a goalie or trade for a defenseman, but who knows?
When you're this close, doesn't it? People are going to lose their mind. They always seem to be right up against it, right? Isn't it the norm? I think right up against it, and goaltending always seems to cost them.
Well, if it's not one thing, it's the other. I think there will be a lot of criticism. There's a lot of excitement for this team scoring all these goals, and I think a lot of people are excited for the future. But I think that a lot of fans want this streak of ineptitude to end now. So if it costs you a third-round pick to get a veteran goaltender, why wouldn't you do it? So we'll see what they do in the next 6 or 7 days.
Korpisalo would be something. He's been playing very well from what I understand since whether he came back from injury or whatever it was with him. That would be interesting. The next thing I wanted to ask you is about Minnesota, because we were just talking about Minnesota retaining salary left and right. Now they're a playoff team. Mm-hmm. Why do you think they're doing that? That's a weird thing for a playoff team usually, I believe.
It's called cash for draft picks. That's what they're doing. They've got the cap space, and what they're doing is they're acting as a middleman in these deals to get draft picks. They got a 4th-round pick from Toronto. They got a 5th-round pick from Boston. The thing is, it isn't costing them real money, because both O'Reilly in the deal with Toronto and Orlov in the deal with Washington to Boston through Washington, both of them had lots of signing bonus and very little base salary. So that means, I guess for the O'Reilly deal, the cap hit was like $1.9 million, but the actual dollars prorated were $75,000. So, so they got a 4th-round pick for $75,000, basically. They got a 5th-round pick for a lot less than whatever 25% of Orlov's deal was. So it makes sense for Bill Guerin to do this. And like I said, I looked up on Cap Friendly. They have like $8 million in cap space. So they have the room to operate. They have the room to do this. And maybe they flip those draft picks to get players that help them down the stretch for their own playoff pursuits.
I want to ask you first about teams, and then I'm going to ask you about some players. But the first thing I wanted to, when you're coming up to next Friday, who do you think, if you had to guess, is going to be the most active, or that we should be keeping an eye on?
I would say New Jersey, because they are the likely destination for Timo Meier. Yeah. Now that could change, but it's been fairly consistent that is where Meier wants to go. That's where he would sign a long-term deal. That's the team that has a lot of interest in him because, Nico Hischier and Jonas Siegenthaler are both Swiss players. They know Meier from their national program. So, he might be amenable to signing a long-term deal. The funny thing is it seems to be all the Eastern teams, not the West hasn't really gotten into it yet, but, we know Tampa is going to make some move. They're very limited by cap space, but they're going to make a move because Toronto and Boston have. Carolina may be in on Meyer. They may be in on somebody else because they lost Max Pacioretty to injury, so they have the cap space to operate. And obviously the Rangers with what's going on with Patrick Kane, it sounds like that's the likely destination for Kane. He's sort of forcing his way to New York, like Claude Giroux forced his way to Philadelphia last year. But in the West, I think Dallas is going to add. I think Colorado is going to add. I think Vegas is going to add. I think Winnipeg is going to add. So, it's a question of how big and what. And like with Dallas, I think they were in on Kane, but if they don't get Kane, then they might go after somebody like James Van Riemsdyk because they need a winger to play in their top six and help with scoring. And, I think he can still do that, although defensively he's a little questionable. But, that's 6 or 7, that's 5 or 6 teams that I'm sort of keeping my eye on.
Patrick Kane, if he doesn't go to the Rangers, what does he do? He'll be a free agent, right? So chances are he just won't go anywhere, right? Would you guess he'll probably just ride it out till the summer?
I think he's going to the Rangers. Honestly, yeah. He has a no movement clause, and I think he's going to force his way. He doesn't want to undercut the Blackhawks to not getting a good deal, but I think in the end, he came out and was pissed. Basically, sounded like he was pissed off that they traded for Tarasenko. So, because he thought that was his last opportunity to get to New York to play with Panarin. But it's very possible. I
always felt like Las Vegas would have been a nice spot for him. Could have been.
There's not many relationships there with him from. Like I said, Panarin is there for with the Rangers. He knows a few players like I think Jacob Trouba through USA Hockey. So, there are some connections there. Mostly Panarin, but so I think there's. If I had to bet, I would bet he goes to the Rangers, but you can always see something change at the 11th hour.
The next one I'm interested in, and because he hasn't played in a while, is Chychrun. What do you think? Is he going to move?
Well, it's funny because I said this on the Buzzcast today. If the Coyotes don't trade him, if I was Chychrun, I would lose my mind. I'd probably sit. But, the thing is then you don't get paid. Apparently they've kept him in the loop here, and he was all for not playing because they don't want to risk him getting hurt before getting traded. But they shut him down 2 weeks ago, and then a deal hasn't happened. So it's a question of whether they can get the deal done. There was talk about that deal with the LA Kings, then Boston, and Ottawa, and St. Louis, and there's so many teams that supposedly are in on Chychrun. But right now, you just don't know whether that's realistic or not. So, I wish I had an answer. Like all I said is there's not even a guarantee that he moves before the deadline. And if I was him, I would be so pissed off at the Coyotes management. But it is what it is.
Hey, Mike, is one of those teams? Because I know that I've heard him mentioned, is one of the teams sniffing around Buffalo?
About a month ago, I heard Buffalo in connection with Chychrun. I think it was Jeff Merrick from Sportsnet who mentioned that. And it sounded plausible because the Sabres, like players that have term on their contracts. He's the right age. He would be somebody who could help out the younger Dahlin and Power. But it would take 3 first-round equivalent assets. And if you look at the Sabres, that would be, say, Middlestat, Isaac Rosen, and a first-round pick. That's a hefty price to pay.
Yeah.
So,
gotcha.
But, it might be worth it because he's a good he's not a number 1 defenseman, and they don't need a number 1 defenseman. They need, a number 2 or number 3 defenseman. And Power is going to be that in a year or two. He's a very young player. He's still learning, but he's really good. Chychrun's fully formed. He's 24 years old. He's had a lot of experience. It would make sense for a team like Buffalo that's looking to improve defensively to go in on him. But realistically, the last, I'd say, week to 2 weeks, I haven't heard them mentioned in connection with them.
Gotcha.
2 teams going in different directions, I think. Mm-hmm. The Capitals are sellers, right? That's weird.
Well, They lost this week. I think it was to Detroit. And at that point, their GM, Brian McClellan, I think recognized that their math in terms of making the playoffs looked bad. You know, Ovechkin was in Russia because his dad passed away, and they're slowly falling behind in the race. I mean, they're 4 points out of the second wild card, but they're 7 points out of the first wild card. So, you know, it's like one chance in 4 that they make the playoffs. So they signed Dylan Strome to an extension. They signed Sonny Milano to an extension, but then in the same breath, they trade 2 pending free agents. So they're sort of doing 2 things at once. And that's typical of most teams. That you can be buyers and you can be sellers at the same time. I think they're never going to be a complete rebuild, because I think I've heard it a few times before. They're not going to do that to Ovechkin because, they're trying to get him the record. But I mean, they're just a team that right now I think recognize that they're not close, that they're not going to win the Stanley Cup. And if you can get something for a guy that you tried to sign and wouldn't sign on the dotted line, then you have to move them. And they did.
And the one other team that's kind of always, the Penguins really got roughed up last night. They lost 7-2 to Edmonton. What are they, the second wild card right now?
They're the Florida is right now, but the Florida has played, I think, 3 or 4 more games than Pittsburgh. So games in hand. I mean, the Sabres have played 4 less than the Islanders and one of the other teams. So that's one of the Sabres' main advantages, is that they played less games. Same thing with Detroit. I mean, right now Pittsburgh is in a situation where, apparently their general manager and their coach are not on the same page in terms of, what they want to do. I mean, the report, I think it was Elliot Friedman that reported that they might be in on Chychrun, and Sullivan, the coach, wants to be in on him, and Hextall doesn't want to trade the prospects and picks to get him. He's trying to rebuild that organization, and with an aging Crosby and an aging Malkin, you're basically in the same situation in Pittsburgh than you are in Boston right now. You have to probably win in the next 1 to 2 years. Otherwise, all your core guys are getting old. So a team though that isn't, I mean, they're exciting, is the Detroit Red Wings.
What do you see for them at the deadline? I mean, I was hoping, Tyler Bertuzzi is no longer available, I'm sure.
They were going to trade players, and now because they're so close, I think they're going to hold on to them. There has been some talk about them getting into Timo Meier, or them getting into Chychrun, or them getting into, somebody who's got term left. But Yzerman is patient and, methodical. I don't think he'll make any moves out of turn. But if he sees that there's a chance to get that team in the playoffs, I think after missing 5 or 6 years in a row, that would be beneficial to them. I mean, the Sabres have not made the playoffs in 12 years, and they're sort of in the same boat.
And tonight, if you're a Sabres fan, it's basically a playoff game against Florida. Should be a good one for them in Florida. Second half of that Florida trip. Before I let you go, Mike, and I got to go back because, of course, I'm a Maple Leafs fan, and I know you are. When you cover games, you really can't be all that. But did they do enough to beat Tampa finally, do you think?
No. I mean, Don't get me wrong. I think O'Reilly is a really good ad. He's going to really help them out. Achari is a good third center, right-hand face-off guy. I think the moves they made were good and addressed areas of need for the team. My philosophy regarding Tampa, regarding the Leafs and Tampa, is I'll believe that they beat them when I see them beat them. This is a team that won 2 Stanley Cups, has been in 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals, and they have Vasilevsky and Hedman and Stamkos and Kucherov and all the guys that they have. Can Toronto beat them? Sure. Can they beat them? Prove it to me.
Real fast, does the goaltending concern you in Toronto at all?
No, it doesn't. I think the goaltending is vastly better than it was last year. Matt Murray is coming back from an injury. He's going to be on the trip. They have a 5-game road swing starting on Sunday, and he's going to be on the trip with them. Samsonov has played great. I actually think it's probably going to be a situation where they play both goalies in the playoffs, where maybe Samsonov plays at home and Murray on the road. But I do think that they are going to – the both goaltenders will be involved, and they're vastly better than what they were last year.
Well, Mike, I want to thank you as usual for joining us. Trade deadline Friday. We can watch on Buzzcast, right? From all day, pretty much.
Yeah, I think on the deadline day, we're probably going to start at noon. The deadline is 3 p.m. We'll probably go to 4 or 4:30 because it's always trades sneaking in after the deadline. Yeah, I have a feeling that most of the big trades are going to happen leading up to it, and on deadline day, it'll probably be a lot of like third round trades.
Well, Mike, once again, man, thank you. Stay warm. I know got to keep the electricity on.
Thanks, Mike.
No problem,
Right,
guys. Anytime.
Take it easy. Have a good one, Mike.
See you, man.
All right, Scott. He was out of power for like 23 hours.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, he lives out
That
in
sucks.
I don't want to say where he lives, but he's out that way in Buffalo.
Sorry about that. I had to cut out there, man. My wife
No
my
problem.
wife pulled a John Rustino in the driveway. She
She all right?
yeah, she's okay.
Oh, good.
She's pissed off, but she's okay.
Yeah, I'll join the club. I don't know, man, and it's not going to get better because it's going to be super cold tonight.
It's not supposed to thaw out. The guy said that's the weather guy said the other day. It's not even going to warm up enough to thaw any of it out. It's just ice. That sucks. Oh,
You know what?
I told him that. We talked about that earlier. She wanted to let you know she also fell yesterday.
Oh,
I have yet to break my ass.
I
close.
got it good, man. But when we come back from our commercial, I got some video I want to show you.
Okay.
I don't even tell you what it's about. I'll let you react to it. It's football related. It's it's about the quarterback stuff and all that. And I got a few games. Robin has a couple of games that we like tonight. And
Did you have a money line the other night?
what's that?
Did you? The money line. A parlay.
I did a
That's how you
weird,
posted it, right?
weird college
New Mexico
basketball.
and somebody else.
Yeah. New Mexico was +6, and it was so crazy because they were down by what were they down by? Down by 8, and there was 2.5 seconds left, and I can't remember who they were playing. Missed 2 free throws for some reason. I don't know why they even fouled them because I was going nuts. Well, anyways, New Mexico gets the ball back and just heaves it up and hits a 3.
No way.
So-
Those are the best bets to win like that. That's the best way to win a bet.
That was
I love it.
unbelievable. Let's take our little break, and when we come back, some NFL talk, and then we'll give some games.
Cool.
Be right back.
Digits 988 can save a life. If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, 988 provides connection to free confidential support. There is hope. The Lifeline works. For 24/7 confidential support, just call, text, or chat 988.
right, welcome back to Spitball and Sports Podcast. Before I get into what I want to get into, I got to ask you this question.
Sure.
Chris DiCarlo, our from Falls Count Anywhere with Charlie Turner, he's asking about the XFL. Have you watched any, Scott?
I have.
Yeah, me too. I bet a game last night and lost.
I didn't bet it, but I did watch one of the first on the first day. I missed the early game. I caught some of it, and then I started watching the second one, which everybody saw, the one we talked about.
Yeah.
We had talked about it last week. I didn't watch it this week, but I did. I like it. It's different. Or no, I'm sorry. I talked about it with somebody else, I believe. I liked it. It's different. I'm going to have to go on there and look at the rules because I really don't know them. So I was confused as with the kickoff and some certain things because the team there was like under 2 minutes left and like the team was down by 5 points and they turned around and they won. Like it was amazing. AJ McCarron was quarterback. And it was awesome. I mean, it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
It was different.
I saw Josh Gordon.
I liked it better than the other league.
I saw Josh Gordon. Remember him? He looked good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he can smoke pot now over there, right?
I know. Let him go.
I can't believe they can't in the NFL. That makes no sense to me.
It doesn't. That guy got screwed. There's no reason why he wasn't.
Yeah. He got screwed. Right? Well, they were making up. They were making an example out of him, obviously.
And I watched the guy from Dallas, DiNucci, last night. He was the quarterback for
DiNucci. I remember when DiNucci was playing for Dallas.
Who was he with? Seattle. He's the Seattle quarterback. So there you go, Chris. Yeah, I like it. It's fun. I'm enjoying it.
I'm gonna watch more. I wish there was more teams.
Yeah. When there's nothing on, I'll check it out all the time. Because I'm a hockey stuff and everything else. But when it's definitely.
Yeah, there's not that many teams, so it's a little easier to kind of keep tabs on different ones and players and stuff.
Right. Robin, hello.
Hello.
Hi, Robin.
Doing your stuff.
Hi,
Scott. Let me show you some stuff here. Now, here's what I got. A couple clips. The first one is, hold on, let me find it. The first one hit me because, well, first of all, let me not go there. Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson. I mean, those three are going to be on different teams.
Oh, I said it before I told you that?
Yeah.
I said a long time ago. He's not resigning with the Ravens, dude. They screwed the pooch on that. When that whole first contract came up, for me, I was like, if they were already that far apart, I don't know how they ever get close enough to be able to sign. Yeah. I just don't. I mean, go ahead and go on, but I had called. I knew that was going to happen.
I'm just trying to think of where he goes. I mean, the teams that need quarterbacks would be the Jets, right?
I could see him going to New York.
The Raiders, I guess Carolina, Atlanta, New Orleans.
I could see him on any one of those teams, John, because those teams will pay him. The Raiders, they'll pay him.
They'll have to. Yeah.
What a waste that would be. I'd hate to be.
When you need a quarterback, you know how it is, though. When you need a quarterback, you're desperate. These teams are desperate.
But he's that. I mean, he's similar to Josh Allen, but I think
This is perfect that you're saying.
Okay,
this.
I think he relies more on the run as part of his game than Josh Allen relies on the run to be part of his game. Josh Allen did it because he kind of had no choice. A lot of times they had to keep calling those designed runs because the run game was just so terrible. Whereas I think more often than not, I think he's more apt to take off and run. I know he can throw the ball. I've seen him do it. Fantastic. I just think his football inner instinct is always to take off. You know what I mean? I think it's more in him. And that's why I think somebody like a Devontae Adams would be squandered if he became the Raiders quarterback.
It's funny. I'm glad you said this because my video addresses kind of what you said. Beautiful. And you didn't know what I was going to do. And you sort of,
no, I didn't.
This sort of though hits it a little bit at Justin Fields. So let me play what RG3 says.
Confused, or I don't want to say confused, but distracted by the fact that Lamar is such a dynamic runner that they kind of gloss over the fact that he can be a dynamic passer. When he won the MVP in 2019, he led the league in touchdown passes. If you want some more stats, right? Lamar Jackson has never had a season where he completed less than 62% of his passes when he was the primary starter for the 4 years that he's been the primary starter. For comparison, Josh Allen has his first 2 years as a starter completed less than 60% of his passes. passes. So what changed for Josh Allen? Well, he got Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs allowed him to throw 17 more touchdown passes, almost 1,500 more yards, and his completion percentage jumped by 11%. So when you ask me, is Lamar Jackson a dynamic passer, I can give you more stats about how Lamar is a great passer in true passing situations. But the bottom line is he has always had the least amount of support of the dynamic young passers in this game. Patrick Mahomes has always had superior talent. Justin Herbert has always had superior talent. Joe Burrow has always had superior talent. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, the names go on and on. When Lamar gets a true number one wide receiver to partner with Mark Andrews and potentially Rashad Bateman, who's a very talented player, then you can talk to me about, oh, he's not a good passer, because the numbers say he's a really good passer that is ready to be great and take that jump that all these other young quarterbacks have taken once they've gotten that superior talent around them.
So that was RG3 talking. And I thought that was interesting because it's partially what I kind of think too. It kind of hits at the Justin Fields stuff. Like, you do need somebody, though. We all know that. You need somebody. It can't be,
So I got a question then for RG3. He's right. I mean, dude, Josh getting Stephon Diggs, massive, changed everything for him. It was huge. He had a guy who was actually catching the ball instead of dropping it. But he had AJ Brown, right? Was it Brown, not Brown? Who do you have? Who's the wide receiver?
He had Hollywood,
not Brown. Hollywood.
But I don't know. He's not in that.
That's Hollywood Brown, and he had Mark Andrews at the same time. He had a running game. So this is the first season he didn't have a wide receiver, because look what Brown did with the Eagles. I mean, he had a number one wide out. So I don't get it.
Yeah, they didn't have. Well, where did Hollywood Brown end up?
He went to the Eagles, didn't he?
No, that's AJ. That's AJ Brown.
I'm sorry, AJ Brown.
Hollywood Brown. Hollywood?
Baltimore.
Yes, he came to Baltimore.
Came to Baltimore. I apologize. No, who's the wide receiver that Baltimore traded away?
Jesus, I don't even remember. That's the thing. I don't even know if there is one.
I'm sorry. I'm confusing names here. I'm pretty sure. No, yeah.
All right.
Okay. No. The Ravens had Hollywood Brown. They traded him. That's his cousin, I believe, even.
Where did he end up?
Cousin or his good friend or something. He went to the Cardinals.
Hollywood. Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. There you go.
So he had a number one wide receiver.
You think that guy is Stephon Diggs like?
Well, I'm not going to say Stephon Diggs.
Or AJ Brown. You know what I mean? Like a big,
you can't. Well, it's hard for me to say because based on Kyler Murray not being there as far as the Arizona goes, so I can't really say that. But I mean, he was a pretty decent wide receiver when he was with Baltimore.
I think Baltimore failed. That's what I think. I think the organization failed.
Yeah,
I think bring things around.
I think they pushed him more as a runner, right?
Yeah, and all they wanted to do was
that's what they did. And now he's suffering that title of they always get hurt because he's always hurt.
Well, the organization created what he is.
Absolutely, I agree. 100%.
What he is because of the lack of what they created around him and the fact that they didn't give him a number one.
It's probably the head coach. Receiver. It's probably Harbaugh and the whole deal with we're going to run and play tough defense.
Run. Dude, that's always been their mantra there.
And with a guy like Jackson, I mean, I will say this. I would love to see it just so I could see it. I'd love to see him somewhere else with someone. And then we could maybe make a better analysis as people that never played quarterback before. But we could then
I'll do my best Trent Dilfer impersonation.
Yeah. Yeah, so that would be interesting for him. Now, what about
this dog does this every time I'm on the spot.
Yeah, that's all right. Like little kids.
She's pissing me off though. I gotta put the collar of doom on her.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see him. If he were to end up with the Jets,
I would love to
with Carolina, any one of those teams, maybe not Carolina.
Sure. Oh, now you're
Atlanta, New Orleans. I don't even know about New Orleans.
Put him on the Jets, and I think
they'll be good.
I think the Jets will be good.
Did you see them on the Jets? That would be interesting, man. That would be real. I think they're going to end up with Carr, but I think it could be unless it picks up a little steam as far as the talk about trading him or him getting traded goes. If the media starts pushing that narrative out there, or his agent does, then I think he'll get traded. If not, he's definitely going to get tagged. But aren't they going to tag him with the restricted tag that the only way anybody could trade for him is to give up like a whole bunch of number ones or something like that?
You know what? I wish I'd have looked into that because I'm not sure.
There's the one tag where you have to give up a number one or two number one draft picks, something like that.
Yeah, it'd be a shame if they do that to that game.
They're gonna, they're going to.
Yeah,
John, we've seen this play out so many times. They're gonna force him, right? They're gonna force him to play on them. It's gonna be a shitty relationship for the whole season. Maybe he makes enough noise to get traded prior to the trade deadline. But if not, he's going to play out the contract, and then he's going to be a free agent. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt because he already banked on that last year. And I think that's one of the reasons that the Ravens start. That's why he's not going to get the money that he wants.
Oh, Lamar. Yeah.
Do you think he deserves it?
To be fully guaranteed? No. Just
does he deserve to get paid? Like, he's trying to get Deshaun Watson money. And he doesn't deserve that. Does he deserve as much as Josh Allen made?
Right. Deshaun Watson didn't deserve it. That's the problem.
Does Lamar deserve to be okay? Does Lamar deserve to be the next one up as far as upping the quarterback pay contracts go?
No, the Browns.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. No. That's why Baltimore doesn't want to pay him.
Right, and the Browns are the reason. Everyone should hate the Browns.
The Browns they screwed up everything.
They set the tone.
Yeah, this is it. How everybody was just demanding it. At least some quarterbacks are a little bit. They're not demanding that, and they're being more realistic. Because Lamar's one of them. That's his mother's his agent, right?
Yeah, that's always tough, and you can't
get your money, boy.
I don't blame him.
No, if he's not the next one up, though.
Well, whoever's up next, I don't know. Whoever you got that group of Burrow, you got Allen, you've got obviously Mahomes.
That's what I mean. But I think it might be Lamar Jackson's time.
Well, it will be because of what the Browns did.
Right.
But does his play justify that type of a contract?
No, it does not. Just like
I agree. So now what's going to happen is this. Now you've got exactly what's happening with Baltimore. He does not deserve that amount of money, but he's trying to command it from them. And his mother, being his agent, probably not a smart move because I don't know how much real talk you're getting there between the two of them. She's probably saying, like I just said, like any of us would do. Go get yourself paid, my son. Go get paid. Make sure they give you that money. You deserve that money because she's got blinders on. It's her kid. And any agent or realistic agent would say, "Hey, man, you got to look at this more realistically, buddy. This. I know what you did. I know you're MVP, but that was a while ago. Like everybody keeps bringing that up that he was MVP, but that was a long time ago.
You know what else quarterbacks got to do, and I think they end up doing it. Maybe a maturity level, maybe it's just wanting you can't take all the money either. No. Or else then you don't have anyone to throw to. So it's kind of
you're going to be Russell Wilson.
Right. And then that's the other thing. You can't, but here's someone
I cannot wait to see how that plays out, but I think they're going to hit him with that shitty tag. I almost guarantee they do it.
Here's the next guy I want to talk to you about. He just emerged from his darkness treaty or whatever. And I will say this, Bears fan, so I got to dislike him, blah, blah, blah. Of course, I've grown to like him more. I grew to like him more when the issues went on with his family. For some reason, I don't know why. Well, maybe I do know why, but I sort of understood.
I can appreciate the fact that he seems so honest.
Well, listen to this.
He seems pretty honest, to a fault almost. Really.
Let me play you a little clip from, and it's made me laugh. It's from the McAfee show. Hold on.
There's heroes and villains in sports. I've been cast as the villain, especially the last few years. In this culture, this woke culture wants to be offended by everything. You just go online and find something you don't agree with. I'm offended. How could you possibly say that? I don't really care. I don't care who it's coming from or who said it. There were some comments that I'm only playing for MVPs and stuff like that. Didn't maybe quite see the entire clip. There's no point in coming back if you don't think you can win it all. What do? If you take the right sound bite from the right thing, and it's a station that may or may not have in the past been brought to you by Pfizer, then they got to make sure that their villain, gets cast in the correct light.
That was funny. That was good.
He said that what got him that was the first time I ever saw him really kind of get fired up about something. And it was all that got him so fired up was they said he started his retreat already and he hadn't. And it was Ian Rappaport was on there prior to him coming on the show. And Ian Rappaport said, or the day before, and Ian Rappaport said, look, I'm sticking by my source. I mean, he's my source. That's what my source said. And that's what he said. Ian, don't listen to your source. I don't talk to anybody. If you want to hear anything, talk to me, buddy. And then he got rolling. He got a little pissed. They kind of got a little fired up about it. And that's when he went into that whole rant where he was casted as the villain and yada yada. And they usually get him going on it, but he took off with it that time.
That was good. And I still can't. The Packers.
He's going to be in Green Bay. John, he's going to be in Green Bay.
Hall of Fame reporter for the Packers, Bob McGinn, his name is. I saw the podcast thing where he was on with.
Is he a reporter now?
He still is. Yeah, he still is old guy though, but he's a Hall of Fame. Yeah,
sure,
pretty well trusted. Whatever. He is claiming that everybody from the team president all the way to the coaching staff are done. They don't want anymore. They want to turn the page like they did in 2008 with him, with Favre, and move on. I gotta, all right. So whatever he says, and I'm sure there's some truth to that. I'm sure he wouldn't just make it up. I'm sure there is, but somewhere down the road. But I could understand the Packers doing this though in a lot of ways because they're not a Super Bowl. They're not close. I don't think they are to be in a team that wins the Super Bowl.
No, they're not.
I could see them doing. You know what I mean? I could understand. They do say that there's been some stuff, where he's a little bit difficult. And, I could understand why they would say, all right, let's, these teams, if he ends up in New York, he'll do well in New York. He's going to do really well.
If he leaves that team and he goes to the Super Bowl, LaFleur and all them will be fired.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
That's exactly what'll happen. Because Jordan Love's going to play like shit. You've already seen what he's offered. He don't look like the next big thing, and he's had a long time to sit behind that dude.
They'll be getting another quarterback. But could you see him, though? I think the Raiders?
I think he stays. He doesn't want to go to the Raiders. He already said it.
Did he say that?
Pretty much.
I can't see
he said it, but he didn't, right? I don't know that he wants to go to the Raiders. I honestly I think the big thing is this every end of every season with him is the whole, is he going to retire? Is he going to retire? Dude, commit to a contract, agree to a set contract, and if you get hurt, or at least set a 2-year contract or something. He's got to give them some you got to give him a timeline. You can't have him draft a guy to sit behind you and then you're going to play, slap a tickle with whether you're going to retire or not every year, right. How many mushrooms you had in the forest in your dark room party, whatever the fuck you did. I get it. Everybody's got their thing, but he really leaves them hanging every single year. And that's what I think is the big problem, especially for the GM. That's a big problem. He's under contract and you don't know if he's going to quit.
That is hard.
You know what I mean? That really puts them in a horrible position, man.
He seems like a little bit of a diva to me too, like very particular and difficult and just
on the field. Yeah. On the field. Off the field, I think he has the personality to do well in New York. Yeah. He's got he can
handle the media.
This guy, you can tell, is manipulating the media. You can see it, and it's funny. It makes me laugh because I think I can almost tell myself.
He does it on purpose.
Yeah,
he totally does it on purpose.
Then he likes it. It's funny
because they literally, they hang on his every word.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's their fault, right? It isn't his fault.
Yeah. No. Same here. If he wasn't a Packer, I would have. Yeah. Of course. We talked about this last week. A bunch of Kansas City Chiefs have come out to say, no, LaShawn McCoy, you're not right. Eric B. Who did it? Tyrann Mathieu.
I'm listening to you. I'm right here.
Yep. Jamal Charles, Tyreek Hill, Pat Mahomes. And then it was funny because they asked Bieniemy, he goes to Washington, I believe, to do plays, play call, offense coordinator. And he had an interesting quote. I thought he didn't really complain about not being a head coach.
I thought he handled it. I saw his little interview, and I thought he handled it pretty good, dude.
Yeah, I did too. And it was
as well as you could, I guess.
Yeah, he did all right. What he said. I mean, he's just talking about a new challenge and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting. One thing with LaShawn McCoy, though, I felt by the time he got to the Chiefs, he was done. Like it was after Buffalo. He was kind of a little bit. I mean, what are you going to do? Who they have?
He was definitely in his twilight for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
he got lucky to get his Super Bowl. He got lucky to get his Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, and it is hard for Bieniemy probably to get out from under the shadow of the man himself.
Yeah,
John, let's be honest. How much of a say do you think Bieniemy really had? I'll be honest. I think LaShawn McCoy's telling the truth.
You think?
Yeah, I think he is. I really do. I think he is because you know how Andy Reid is. I mean, I'm not saying Andy Reid ruled with an iron fist or anything like that, but he's that creative mind. He always has been, right? Yeah. Bieniemy might have learned a lot from him, but I think that he was telling the truth. I think he was telling the truth. I mean, I know that Bieniemy pissed him off because the way he treated him when he was there, but it didn't sound like he was treated so badly that he's got to go on this whole tour of trying to trash Bieniemy. I think people keep bringing it up to him because he said it and he's answering truthfully. I think it's true, and I think we're going to find out really quick.
It might have been just him, not just him, but like we were saying, I think we were saying this last week. Maybe it's favoritism. It's the star players, obviously, and then this guy's going to be a backup,
right?
And I don't know. It probably is true to LaShawn McCoy.
Look at the plays that they're designing in Kansas City, dude.
Yeah.
A running backs coach is coming up with that shit.
You got your guy, the quarterbacks coach.
Far removed from being in the NFL. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying he's not a smart guy, but that's some creative stuff, man.
Here comes Matt Nagy to the rescue.
Oh God!
But he'll be fine because he's got Andy Reid there.
Because Andy Reid's going to call all the plays exactly. And Matt Nagy's going to get heaped all the praise, and then he's going to get turned into a head coach again. He's coming back to Chicago, John.
No. Chicago people are stupid because, look, Nagy got a ring. Well, it's not a big deal. Yeah, he got a ring. He was the quarterback. He's just there. I mean, I don't think it was. I mean,
that ring, man, it takes on it takes on too much importance with people sometimes.
Yeah.
They also end up on the in Pawn Stars. So, it's the off season is going to be great. We're moving towards the every week we'll be talking NFL a little bit because every week there's always something to say, no matter what. It's about to start getting going here.
Yeah, because what we're doing franchise tags. Pretty soon, free agency will open.
Everything's going to start, dude. It's seasons. That's what I love about it now. It seems like it doesn't ever really end.
Why don't we do this real quick before we get ready? Because we should try to make some money. All right. We got some picks for you tonight. Robin, you have what? NBA parlay or just singles? You get single them if you want.
No, with the lines, put them together. It's a 2-team NBA parlay.
What is it?
And I like the Knicks and the Suns. And it's plus 158 if you put them together.
All right, Knicks and Suns. Knicks are playing what, Washington?
Knicks are playing Washington at Washington, yes.
And who do the Suns have tonight?
And the Suns are playing Oklahoma City.
And this is before Durant. Durant will be there on Friday. Or not Friday. He'll be there Wednesday. Okay.
Durant.
Are you talking about taking Phoenix plus the points?
Money line.
Money line? Okay.
Yeah, parlay them on the money lines, and it should be like plus 158.
Very good. Gotcha. I've got some hockey, and I've got some college basketball. Now, these hockey ones, you can single, do whatever you want with them, or parlay them. It don't matter. I'll tell you which one I like the most. It's Winnipeg. Right now it's like even money. It's minus 110 or whatever. I like Winnipeg over Colorado tonight in Winnipeg. I like Winnipeg a lot. That's my favorite one. I do like if you're up, let's say you're doing well and you're feeling good about yourself. You got everything going on. Throw a little something on Buffalo. The Sabres are plus 150 in Florida.
I got them plus 170 over here.
Even better. Give it a shot. Why not? It's
Yeah.
worth it because they played well. I mean, Vasilevsky was pretty rough last night, but still, they went to Tampa and won. And this is a playoff game. This amounts to for Buffalo a playoff game. This is huge. And I don't know. Give them a shot at plus 150. I also like Carolina on the puck line minus 1.5 against Ottawa. So those three hockey games, I like Winnipeg minus the 110. Buffalo, if they're plus whatever they are, go with the Sabres plus 170. And Carolina minus 1.5 pucks.
Look at you, John, like talking betting Sabres. Look at you.
Yeah, I think they at that price, why not? Because they can score, which means they'll be in every game.
Yeah.
So I would take that shot. And Florida's they're struggling.
They are.
So they're not. Think about it. Last year, they had the best record in the league or whatever it was. This year, they're barely hanging on.
Yeah.
And obviously, Buffalo's trending in a better direction. You just beat Tampa.
Right.
I mean, so now you got to just finish off this Florida trip with a win. And it's important.
Who are you saying I had him in? Who do I add in on this money line? I'm not this money line, this parlay.
I do like Carolina Hurricanes minus 1.5 against Ottawa.
Okay.
And I like Winnipeg also. Minus the 110. That's my favorite one. Buffalo is just one of those things. I don't know. Wouldn't shock me.
Got a feeling, huh?
Yeah, they play so good offensively, and good teams, I think, will generally, the real good teams usually, I think, would be able to beat them because they don't play defense much. But in this situation, I mean, it could end up 7-6 tonight. Who the hell knows? I mean, it should be good. College basketball, I got this would probably be a parlay, but you could single it. Xavier on the money line versus Seton Hall. I don't know. I like that. I do like that a lot. I don't know why Seton Hall. I'm curious what the points are in that game. I don't even know. I didn't even look. But I'm doing a Xavier Buffalo Carolina parlay here. Then. Oh, nice. And what's Xavier?
$10 lands you 50.
Oh, that's good.
It's money line minus 125 on Xavier.
Perfect. That's unbelievably low. And the next game, I love the under 136.5 in Southern Mississippi, Texas State. I read all about it today, and Texas State is the best defensive rebounding team in the country, and Southern Miss doesn't shoot the ball well. So it just all adds up to an under 136.5, I think. So
nice.
That's what I got.
I got nothing right now. I got to dig deep. I got to dip in my toes into the NBA. Now that the All-Star game's over, All-Star game and all that stuff's over with, now I'll dip in because that's usually when I do good is after All-Star week.
You did really good last year. I
was on a pretty good run with basketball.
Yeah, really good. And we can make people a lot of money. But of course, just play at your own, put $10 on something. The Sabres, I'm not a fan of the team, but that beating that Toronto gave them, it was bad. And for them to go to Tampa and win, I think that shows a little something because I wanted to see that. Remember, we wanted to see it. I wanted to see how and Tampa had everyone there. Vasilevsky playing, the whole group was there that's going to beat Toronto in the first round.
Right.
And Buffalo did it. I mean, they held their ground. Yeah. So good for them. And we'll see tonight.
Yeah, no doubt.
So Scott, man, we got to stay warm because I don't know. Today was really
breaking asses and everything else, dude. It's shitty out there.
A lot of people are falling, though. I've seen
I literally, when I left work, not today, yesterday, I took the whole piece of ice that was on the hood, on the roof of my truck. I had to take it out because I didn't want to get on the thruway. And I was going to break it, but I just shoved it.
Wow.
It was a slab of ice this big on the roof. Shoved it off. Because, dude, I'll tell you, people get on that thruway then they don't knock shit off their tonneau cover. That's like ninja stars, dude. They hit a bumper right gust of wind when it hits it and it breaks off and shit just starts hitting your car.
That's bad. Yeah.
You're supposed to. It's against the law, but a lot of people don't. I watched the whole thing came off today.
Oh, I've seen that before.
People were far enough back because people kind of recognized it was probably going to happen.
Ugh. So yeah, that kills somebody. All right.
Hell yeah.
I guess we'll go. Scott, I'll see you next week. We'll be back with everything as usual.
Robin, I'll see you, buddy.
Oh,
Bye, Scott.
real quick
Yes.
though, when we come back next week, it'll be the NHL trade deadline will have just ended.
Yes.
So we'll have a lot of information stuff to talk about.
Can't wait.
Awesome.
All right, Scott, take it easy. Tell everyone to be safe.
You too, man. Take
All right,
care.
let me-
With your bets, everyone.
Good luck.
Good night.